What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news and the most talented people with a touch of what, Terence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
So we've been having guests recently.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have guests, but this particular guest we have in front of us has been not only making waves, but also in the news a lot.
Yeah,
And for good reason.
exactly.
And we would like to welcome none other than Sprint Queen Shanti Pereira.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's
Wow.
yeah. Thank you for coming by the studio
No,
amidst
yeah,
your
no
crazy
problem.
schedule.
Yeah.
No problem.
Because we are literally recording in between a competition you just had in Europe
Mm-hmm.
and the upcoming Asian Games.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
happening in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks
Yes.
time.
2 weeks' time I leave. Yeah.
So now I know when you came in we offered you an old chunky curry puff. You're like, no thanks.
No,
lah.
yeah.
Thanks.
Keeping off that for at least the next 2 weeks. lah.
So did you just come from like a big training session this morning or something?
No. So I mean, today I had a school engagement in the morning.
Okay.
So
okay.
I was at the morning assembly and I gave like a inspirational talk.
Ah.
Hopefully they got inspired. Yeah.
But about what? About like
Just I was saying
general-
like about my journey and like yeah, I think it was more for like the Sec 4s because the O levels are coming soon. So after I talked to the main cohort, then I had like a intimate Q&A with the Sec 4s. And a lot of the questions had to do with like how do you mentally prep for all your races, you know, this kind of thing. Then I realized, like they're asking because of the O levels are coming, they stress. I think
Also,
I don't know, maybe.
They're trying to deal with stress.
I mean, that's what I perceived from
Not
everything that they were asking me. lah.
not specifically about running or
You think IPPT,
sports.
is it?
How to,
I
how to
mean,
prepare for 2.4.
I think a lot of people are just kind of intrigued with what I do. So
Yeah.
they were just asking whatever questions there was. Because I think it's interesting to see me race at all these big meets because like they don't really understand. So they just ask me
see.
whatever questions they could think of. lah.
And how you settling into this role of not only being a sports person but an ambassador of sorts for the whole sport, and I mean the whole sporting fraternity, right?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
It's nice. You know, previously I think maybe like 2-3 years ago, I would think of this as like pressure and I'll be a bit scared that people are looking up to me in this kind of way. But now I'm really just embracing it. I think I'm really happy that people find my story like encouraging, inspiring, and they relate to it in their own kind of way.
Yeah.
And I'm just very appreciative of that, I guess. It's just a nice feeling.
And when did that change happen particularly? Because you've been running for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like your first run was in primary school, right? That's
I
when
mean,
you
I first started track in primary school, but first started representing Singapore in like senior level when like I was 17, so 10 years ago.
10 years ago. And how would you say, like you say now is it like over just the course of this year that you have kind of embraced this role?
Yeah, I would say like this year and last year probably was where like I started seeing things a bit differently, perceive what I was doing a bit differently.
And what changed?
I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly, like, so yeah, I've been going through quite a lot. Like before 2022, I've just been like up and down for so long. Ever since I won the gold at the 2015 SEA Games, then I think people kind of just expected a lot from me. And I was very scared that every competition I couldn't deliver, you know? Yeah, so like after so many years, I just kind of realized that, you know what? Like, why am I even listening to all of these people? Like, why is all of this scaring me? Because it's my own journey lah. Like, why do I need to care about what other people are saying about me? Oh yeah, and at that point, a lot of people started saying like, one hit wonder, like, like done already, that kind of thing. So, and it really did affect me. It affected me quite a bit that like, I was so scared of training. I didn't want to go and like, I didn't want to compete because I knew I was going to do badly and stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess over time, it just kept eating at me. And last year, like actually 3 weeks before the SEA Games was when I finally switched. Like it was the most random thing ever because 3 months before the SEA Games last year, I was still doing really bad times, like nowhere near gold medal standard for SEA Games. So it was just quite funny lah that like 3 weeks before I was just like fed up. I'm like, okay, you know what? Like I'm done with feeling sorry for myself. I'm just gonna do what I've been doing. Like I know this is something I want to do, and there's a reason why I haven't given up all this time. You know, I know that running is just something that I feel like I was born to do lah. You know, and it's made me who I am today.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be a part of who I am. So let's just embrace it lah. And whatever happens, happens. Like at that point, right before SEA Games, I think I was like, people already have said what they want to say about me, so I got nothing to lose. So I just went in with that mindset and just completely changed, and then boom, I won the SEA Games again. So ever since then, like it's just been kind of just embracing the journey again and falling in love with my sport again. And just taking every opportunity as it comes lah.
So it was entirely a mindset shift, you think, that made the difference?
I think that was the main thing,
Okay.
for sure. And also, just my coach helped me with this a lot. He helped me change my perspective of what I do. So I think the very common thing in Singapore is that you don't see yourself as an athlete first. You see yourself as having to balance being an athlete and something else.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of people had to go through, including me. Like I was in school while doing track, and then I was working while doing track. And I never ever thought of myself as being an athlete alone, you know, or like first. Like it was never the priority. But he really changed my mindset on that.
Okay.
That like, you know what? Being an athlete is a 24/7 thing. Like it's not just the training sessions that I put in that matters. It's what I do every minute of every day. So it includes refusing the old chunky. It includes like what time I go to bed, what time I wake up. Like I was discussing with you before, like I take a cold shower every morning to have a better day. Like it doesn't just help athletes, like it helps everybody. But because I'm an athlete, it just, you know, enhances the whole experience even more, I guess. Yeah.
So did it surprise you how much of an impact that had?
It did. Like I started seeing things just so differently. And yeah, I mean, I honestly, until today, I just find it like very amazing lah. That, you know, just small things that you do in your everyday can contribute so much to my performance. So yeah.
So that means now, like, I can't imagine what it must be feeling as you're leading up to the Asian Games, which you said is the fourth major tournament this year, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting year. It doesn't really happen. So usually like in a season, you have maybe 1 or 2 major competitions that you will want to peak for.
Yeah.
But this time round, I have 4, and it started in May and it's ending in October. So very, very long season, because I had to prepare for the May one, which means I had to start early, and that was like in Australia and all that. Sorry, I did burp.
What would an athlete? What would an athlete do in that situation?
So that's the athlete training.
Yeah, athlete training. The breathing exercise.
Okay. So it's tricky sometimes where you have to kind of plan for these kind of situations. Because you're trying to peak at every single one of these major competitions lah. It can, like I said, it can be quite tricky, but so far we've managed to maneuver it, and now ready for the last one lah.
Okay, but just going back to, you know, because you talked about being a role model or inspiration for people, right? So do you think that what you're saying earlier, that it's, if someone thinks of themselves as a student first, or as a, you know, whatever job you're doing first, and then as an athlete, you would never be able to hit the same level of success as someone who, you know, looks at themselves as an athlete first?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody.
Okay.
That's for sure. Like, I know my process is that, you know, when I was doing both, it was very overwhelming for me, especially when I started working. That was when it really hit. Like being a student, I think it's quite normal lah. You do both. But when you start working, that's when it gets very difficult. Yeah. So, I mean, but then again, that's me. Like, I just felt like I wouldn't have performed as well if I were to continue in that situation versus now being a professional athlete lah, just full-time training. But I mean, other people, if they have that kind of ready to go mindset any minute of the day, then I mean, good for them. You know, like, the fact that they can do that is quite amazing lah.
But is that something that a lot of athletes kind of face, like whether or not to pursue full time versus, because because I know like other sports as well, everybody has like a day job or a lot, and
Yeah.
then you do this on the side.
Mhm.
Is that something that people are always evaluating whether or not to take the leap?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I was very fortunate that I got selected to be part of this sports excellence scholarship
Mm.
that allowed me to train full time. But, if people who are not given this opportunity, then it gets tricky like when they want to decide, okay, is this something worth pursuing? Because if you're not on this scholarship, you have to find a way to make a living.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Yeah, so I guess people do
So
go through that, yeah.
I mean, you were saying that there were a lot of downs. So were there moments where you felt like, throwing in the towel in terms of
Yeah.
an athletic
Oh my
career?
God, so many times. But like, never to the point where I'm like, I want to give up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's never reached that point. I mean, after I do a training session, then I'm like lying. I'm like, oh my God, like, why am I doing this? I hate this so much. Why am I here? I don't do this anymore. But I know that's just an overreaction of me at that particular point in time because I'm just so frustrated with whatever happened, like the training session or whatever. But yeah, I've never reached that point where I'm like, okay, I want to throw in the towel. Because, I don't know, call it cliche or something, but like I said before, like, I feel I was born to do this. And I guess recently or like last year, I felt that I don't want to waste this talent that God has given me. So I just want to pursue it for as long as I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then what is it you love about like sprinting? And I don't mean just athletics, just sprinting. Because I can imagine a lot of people, the thought of like running and all, it just feels like you're putting yourself through pain all the time.
Yeah.
For a race, for two races, like one that is less than 12 seconds, one is less than 23 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. But what is it you love about it?
I'm not very sure.
All right, next question.
I have no idea. Okay, next. I don't know. Okay, I mean, I first started out because my sister was doing it.
Okay.
She was a national athlete when I was in primary school, so that's how I just started. And I only did the events because she was doing the events.
Okay.
Like it wasn't because I really wanted to do the 100 and 200. It's because I wanted to follow her.
Yeah.
So, and then I just found out I was good at it. And then over time, I guess, especially in the past few years, I found like there's really an art to sprinting that is just interesting and very hard to completely understand and hard to execute. And just seeing that progress every day of you being able to slowly get to that point of like perfection in sprinting is just like little achievements that you go through every day, which is very satisfying.
How about the competition aspect? Do you find yourself a very competitive person in all aspects of life?
I think so.
Yes.
I think so. I
Okay.
think I'm quite competitive.
I guess you kind of have to be, right?
Yeah, I guess.
like sprinting for bus, everything, you must sprint to the front and all.
I was quite competitive in primary school. Like,
Okay.
I remember I'll always be very on like during PE. But then the rest of my classmates not on. I'll be very upset. Yeah, just because I wanted to like have that kind of competitive fun thing during PE, but a lot of people didn't feel the same way as me.
But outside
Yeah.
of sports, like do you have that same competitive streak? Like you play board games, you must win and kind.
Okay, no. I guess so. Then I guess it's just in sports lah.
Well, like let's say you go to a like friend's place or like there's a ping pong table or something.
Yeah.
Are you the kind who like if you lose when playing with friends, it would stick with you?
No. I'm good. Because I know where my craft lies lah. The ping pong is not my thing. So.
But then you say,
I'm
I
good
challenge
if I
you. I
lose.
challenge you to the other room, then you.
Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, never mind. We lose here. We go to the track tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Have you ever actually laid that
No.
gauntlet down?
I've never done that.
No,
Yeah, no. Yeah. But I mean, usually when I play different kind of sports, I'm like, okay generally quite okay. Yeah.
But speaking about competition, like just like last month you had the World Athletics Championship, right? Like how is there anything that you see about the other athletes, like the people who are like the global world record holders that you feel like, wow, there is something about them that over years that is inspirational to you that you want to take back from just being around them?
Honestly, right, is their head. Wow. Like the mental pressure they must face, right? Like is crazy. Like it just okay, you know that Usain Bolt is like the GOAT. right? And because you see like, okay, yeah, he's been winning every single like three Olympics in a row.
Yeah.
Like you just see that and you go like, okay, wow, that's amazing. But like you don't realize how much of a mental aspect that plays. You know, like to be able to come to a competition, a major competition, after so many people have been saying shit about you and having so many fierce competitors, and to just go there and have that confidence and win, like that's freaking amazing. You know, and that's what all of these athletes have to go through, like especially those that won in previous editions, so like previous world champions, previous Olympic champions. The pressure that they have to face going into another one is crazy. And then when they actually do it, it's like, wow, like I salute you, man. Like I just find it very amazing. Like, I'm always in awe of them.
But so I mean, because I think sprinting is not a lot of people are very well versed with you know, of the sport at high levels. What is going through your mind when you are like about to start a race? Because we see you, you know, everyone's looking very intense and everything. But here you are saying that, you know, what's going on in people's minds is amazing. Yeah. What's going through your mind at that point?
Actually, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. So that's the goal. Like I want to have a completely clear mind, because I mean, I guess it's the same thing like before exam lah. Okay. Like you don't want to overcrowd your mind with all this information and then you suddenly like stress, you know? So that's the same thing. Like because in a sprint, right, there's so many different technical aspects that I can think about that I do during training. So like there's the start. Then the start consists of like the first 8 steps. And then not only that, but before that, the first step out of the block. And then the first 8 steps. And then you go on to your transition where you come out from the start and you come upright. And then there's the middle like 60 to 80 meters. And then there's the final 20. And then there's the dip. I'm talking about 100 meters.
Yeah.
So there's so many things I can think of. And then that's just the race itself. Then I think about my running form. You know, there's like where my knees are, like how my hips are positioned, like is my core braced, my arms, my hands. Like there's so many things that I work on during training that I want to execute at a race, you know, but I can't think about all these things before a race, because then I'll be like, oh my God, there's so many things I need to think about. Yeah, so for me, right before a race, I just tell myself to listen to the gun and stay calm. Yeah, just these 2 things.
But
they just keep running through my mind before a race.
I'm guessing that has come with practice, because it's like when I've tried to meditate in the past, you know, they say, okay, just spend time not thinking about anything. Even 1 minute is damn hard.
Yeah, it is.
Right? It is. At what point did you feel like, okay, you can finally calm down before a race?
Wow, I don't know because when do I feel I can calm down before
like at what point, like was it like just in the past few years where you reached
okay, I would say probably in the past 2 years.
2 years.
Before, I mean, I would overcrowd my mind and just be focused on so many different things at once that I can't focus on like what I'm actually there to do, which is to run fast.
But, you know, we had Ryong on the podcast, and one of the things that was very shocking to me was how much how little was out of his control in terms of preparing for a race. Like how much sleep you had before, whether your roommate is noisy while you're trying to sleep, and you know, if like the canteen is too far away from where you live and things like that. Like how much of that factors into your prep for sprinting?
It plays a huge role. That's why like before every major comp, I need to have a competition plan. I need to know what I can prepare for. Okay. And like, because I'll make sure I have whatever I have like I'll prepare whatever I can before a race. So for example, like at the Asian Championships in Bangkok, I had 8 races to run. So I had the 2 relay races the first day, and then I had 300-meter races and 3 200-meter races. And so after the 100-meter finals, it was on, I don't know what day but it was at 6:40 p.m. And then my 200 hits was the next day at 9 a.m. So that is very little time between 2 races. And it's not just any race. It's like a 100-meter final. It's like you're going to win. And then you have to calm down from all the adrenaline and then reset and refocus for your next race. So it's very little time. And then I also had to take the fact that after the race, I need to go for prize presentation. And then after prize presentation, what if I get selected to test for anti-doping? Then I need to stay there longer. So what I did I mean, I knew where I was standing before the Asian Championships. Like I knew that I was in medal contention. So I could prepare for it So I was like, okay, let's just prepare for a worst case scenario that I'm going to be there until, let's say, 9:30 p.m. So I prepared like dinner I prepared, not dinner, I just prepared a bunch of stuff to eat that will make me full. So that when I go back to the hotel, I can just go back and sleep. Like shower, sleep. Yeah, so I don't need to worry about going to the dining hall to get dinner and stuff like that, because that's just wasting time. Like the most important thing is to get proper sleep, because the next day I need to be up at like 6 a.m. Yeah, so and in the end, the worst case scenario played out.
Was it?
Yeah, because I got the goal and then I was selected for a test for anti-doping. So I was like, oh my gosh, like thank you. Like, I prepared for all this. I have everything I need with me. My coach was with me. I asked him to carry my food bag and then he just stayed with me the whole time. And then I even managed to squeeze in, because I managed to pee very fast. So I was like, okay.
Another talent. Yeah.
Actually, no, I always take very long. But I think before my race, I was just like, I was drinking all these energy drinks and stuff I was like, okay, quite ready to pee. But then the thing about anti-doping is that you have to feel like a minimum amount. It's like 90 ml of pee that you need to do. And not just that, it needs to be a certain concentration because you do that diluted. So you can't just drink water, you need to drink other things.
I see.
Yeah, so thankfully I was at that point, I was like, okay, I know I can feel 90 ml. And I knew I was drinking not just water, so I was like, okay, this is good. And then I managed to squeeze time for a massage back at the hotel.
I see.
And then, I just went a bit.
And then you won the next day.
No, I won 2 days later.
2 days later.
The 200 was 2 days later.
So it really is a whole lifestyle thing that you need to plan around. It's a whole thing
that you have to really, plan around and prepare for. Yeah, and I mean, like, to be able to prepare for that, I think you have to practice this in your everyday. Like, all these routines that you go through every day. You don't just do it in competition. It's supposed to be something that is just a part of my life, really.
So just so it doesn't feel so miserable when you actually
and it doesn't feel like too much or too overwhelming, when it comes to, like, the big thing.
I see.
That means after Asian Games, is there also a plan to kind of like wean off the intensity of training? And
so after Asian Games, I'm done with my season. So
then Old Chang Kee all the way.
Old Chang Kee every day.
Not all the way, but I get a break. So I'm going like holiday and like I have a break from training for a while before I start again.
I see. So going into these Asian Games, you are the favorite, right? So does being the favorite kind of drive you? Like, are you more motivated being a favorite, or you prefer to go in like the underdog?
I don't know. Both is good, but I've never experienced this before. Like, I've never been a favorite at Asian Games. Like, I've been a favorite at SEA Games before. Like, I've been, like, the one I just competed was like my 5th SEA Games, I think, or my 6th, I don't know. So it's never happened to me before, and it's kind of exciting It's quite cool. I've never like experienced this in my life. So it's just fun to have this like on me right now. Like, when can I say I'm top in Asia again? Like, I don't know. Maybe not next year. So I'm just taking it in my stride as much as I can. Yeah,
it's cool. You look like you're enjoying it. It's not just
I really am. Yeah, like this whole year has been like just so fun. Like, I mean, okay, there has been some tough times. Like, I had bad races. I had a few bad races. Like, even in Europe, after the World Championships, I had like 2 bad races in like 2 different parts of Europe. And I mean, it could be from a number of reasons. Like, maybe my body's not totally recovered from running at the World Champs, or like I just screwed something up at like the start of the race, or I don't know, something like that. But so I just had to like kind of refocus and listen to my coach, listen to his feedback, and then move on from that.
Actually, just a question. How much can you like look at a tape of a bad race and break down like what exactly went wrong, or is it just really like what you felt at the point of time?
It's kind of both. So it's always good to see it pan out lah. So my coach always tries to video the whole race. And if he doesn't, then hopefully there's like a live stream video that we can play back and just see which part can be improved on, which part like was good, which part was bad.
Wow. And during the race itself, is it also like just is muscle memory, your mind is blank, or you're self-correcting? Because I mean, like 100 meters is so short, right?
Yeah.
But is there still room to do that?
Not really. I think, it's a lot of muscle memory. And like, it's just because it's such a short race, it's what you're telling yourself before the race lah. Yeah. Because I mean, for 100 especially, it's like, you don't really have time to correct anything. I mean, you do, but you have to like focus on different. Okay, I don't know how to explain this. Like, okay, for example, you might screw up the start. Like maybe you're like the slowest reaction out of the blocks. But as long as you just kind of stay calm, don't tense up, then you relax. Like it's kind of interesting where like a lot of people think sprinting is like to the end. But it's actually not. It's actually about being relaxed. Yeah. And then when you're relaxed, your legs naturally move faster. Yeah. It's quite cool lah.
So it sounds very different from what Ryong talks about endurance running, where it's pain. See how much pain you can tahan all the way. This one yours is like the opposite lah. Like as relaxed
it's like calmness. Yeah. Whereas Ryong is 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Who can
I
tahan
don't
the
know
pain the
why.
longest?
I cannot imagine doing a marathon. Like, oh my god, 2.4 is hard for me. More than one round is hard for me already.
But do athletes like sprinters versus marathoners, like do you all exchange notes, or is it just two entirely different kind of like
I think it's very
mindsets
different
and all?
Yeah, super different. And like how we prepare for it is so different also. Because sometimes the marathon starts at like 4 a.m. And the preparation for that is so different. Like, what time do you sleep? You know, like what time do you eat? Like, it's just extreme. Yeah,
but can you see like certain personality types gravitating towards sprinting? Of course, there's the physiology of your body, but I know I've spoken to some doctor friends and they say all the heart surgeons kind of like have this sort of like personality. All the anesthesists have this sort of personality. Is that a similar kind of thing in track?
Is it? No, it's not something I noticed.
No.
Yeah, I see all different kinds of personalities in sprinting. So
no, not just sprinting, like sprinting versus middle distance runners versus long distance runners.
I haven't really,
like all the marathoners.
It's not really
just
something
pain,
I noticed lah.
No.
No, I mean you can say that about 400-meter runners also. They're just in love with pain. Like my boyfriend, he was an ex 400-meter national sprinter. So and he's just like, he can just keep going, man. I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. And even now, like he loves doing like endurance runs for fun, like leisure to keep fit.
Yeah. And you don't, Shanti, but you're an athlete.
I mean, wait until I
No, but it's like you mentioned before we started recording, right? That people kind of think an athlete means you must be able to run every distance.
Yeah. So that's something like a lot of people, I guess, I totally understand. It's very easy to relate to long distance running because it's a lot easier to get into. Like for leisure, people go for long runs all the time. They do like 5Ks around their house, that kind of thing. Nobody goes on like a
100 meters,
like a 100-meter sprint, like outside their house in their running shoes down the slope in the grass or something, right? Yeah. So I totally get it. It's just a very different like mindset, you know, differentiating the two. But I get asked so many times, like, what's my 2.4 timing? And people always get so disappointed with my answer because I say, because, okay, I'll tell you, my fastest was when I was like in Sec 3 because we had to do it. It was like NAFA test, right? And it was like 11 minutes something only. Like, not fast. Yeah. So then they're like, wow. That's not very fast. I'm like, I don't do long distance. Like the body type and muscle groups and everything is just completely different. Like I have more like fast twitch muscles that help me with my sprint events. Versus like long distance running that, you know, I don't know if you call it slow twitch, but like it's just a different set of muscles
so now
that they have altogether.
Even your training does not involve like running any sort of long distance.
No, not at all.
And that's a conscious thing. Like
yeah. I mean, like we're building endurance, but for short bursts. Like, we're not doing like a 2-hour run or anything like that lah. Yeah, so it's just really different training also, like altogether. Yeah, so like on my off season, I do like a lot of endurance-based stuff, but like 300 meters, 400 meters at a time, interval kind of thing.
Is it actually true? Because I've heard like just a layman's perspective that, okay, if you want a sprinter, you should not spend too much time stretching your muscles because it would lose the fast twitch. Is there any truth to that at all?
No, it's good to stretch. It's good to stretch. I mean, if you're a bit more flexible, that's always a plus lah. You know, it's always a good thing. But how we stretch sometimes might be a bit different. Like not so much static stretches all the time. More dynamic movements lah. Yeah, because you're trying to not just stretch something, but stretch while strengthen. So yeah, it's quite different lah. So the stretches that my coach asked me to do is very dynamic. It involves weights. It involves like some movement, not just completely static lah.
I see.
Yeah.
So I mean, you mentioned your sport, not the most easily relatable to every person, but you also at the same time say that you notice that your story has people do resonate lah with like your story. So what aspect of your training or the endurance and the hardship of what you do day to day do you think has resonated with people who don't sprint? Like how can they apply that to whether their studies or their work or what?
Yeah, I think it's because like in the past few years it's been out there, it's in the news that like I lost like 2 scholarships and like I had to face with pressure, like all these kind of things. I think that's where people kind of can relate to my story a bit more, because in their own life they also feel like pressured by something, whether it's work or school or whatever it is lah. Yeah. So I mean the specifics, I don't think people are very educated about what exactly I do every single day. Like some people think I just sprint for like 3 hours.
Just running back and forth.
Like when they ask me how long is your training, I said about 3.5 hours, and how you just keep running? 3.5 hours? I said no, like I do different things. Like I do like, because my speed sessions, right, are not like just constant sprints every few minutes. It's like I do accelerations, and that's like the first 30 meters. I do that like maybe 6 to 7 times only. And it requires a lot of rest because like speed work is like takes so much out of your muscles, right? You need to properly recover before each set. Yeah, so it's not like 3.5 hours of just running. Yeah. So yeah, but back to what you were saying. Yeah, I think it's more like the emotional part of my journey lah, that people have been able to relate to.
But also, I mean, I'm hearing that the living the athlete life, like lifestyle, and understanding that it's the little tweaks you do every day that at the end of the day, the race, like you said, you just want to be relaxed.
Yeah.
So it's the prep that goes up to that, right?
Yeah. It really is,
but I mean, do you feel that is something that you can apply, to your life after or even outside of sports?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think no matter what you're doing, I think it's important to have these kind of like routines set in place. Because it's not just to help me with my performance, it's helped me just to be a more well-balanced person lah.
Okay.
Overall. So yeah, I mean anything that you need, like I always take some time out of my day to just have a bit of self-care, just like take care of myself, because sometimes I feel like I need it when I've had too much in a day. I just need some time to myself. Stuff like that. And during that time, you need to have your own routines lah, like whatever works for you, to help you relax and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it has helped me in my journey so far, but definitely something everyone can do in their daily life lah. And for me to take after I'm done.
What's the secret juice to help you relax? Or
secret juice nothing much. I just like to watch like Modern Family,
Modern Family?
Yeah.
Modern Family.
Modern Family.
Modern Family.
That's your way of relaxing.
That's my way of relaxing. And I watch it on repeat. So I watched the whole season, like I don't know, 30 times already.
Yeah.
I just watch it all like whatever I'm doing, like when I'm
just
making breakfast. Making breakfast, I just play in the background. When I'm eating breakfast, I watch. When like I'm not doing anything.
In the middle of competitions, like
not in the middle. Actually, no. Yeah, like if I'm at a stadium very early, then I watch some on the fan person.
Singapore's top athlete, Asia's sprint queen,
So if you
uses
see her
Modern
before a
Family
race
to
on her
relax.
phone, it's not like instructions from a coach or anything.
I just
It's
watch some Modern
Family.
Family. I just like chill out, man. Like
Wow.
that's the secret.
But
Just chill.
what about Modern Family? Just like
I don't know,
relaxes
it's
you.
just funny. It's a funny show. And like I mean, do y'all watch?
Yeah,
Modern Family?
I've seen episodes, but I'm not that like fanatic about
okay,
it.
okay. Yeah, like I just love the characters. It's just a funny show lah, and it helps me.
And there's
relax.
probably some familiarity, lah, right?
Like
if you've
is
watched
there?
it that many times.
No, it's just a nice show. Okay, it's not just Modern Family, but that's like the main one. I also rewatch a lot of New Girl, a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Just like very light-hearted sitcoms lah, you know. I like that style.
You don't watch like the presidential broadcast where Taman mentioned your name or
I
anything.
watch.
Over.
A lot of people said me. I watch. Don't worry.
She watched. It's not 10 times. It's not 10 times.
No, but speaking of these small differences, right? Is there really a big gap between like let's say the setup of athletes training in Singapore versus like countries like the US and all? Because I remember in school, one of my friends who used to play tennis, he said he went to Bangkok for a trip, and over there the tennis players, you get hooked up with all these stats, and when you serve, then they analyze everything about your serve, and he said it blew his mind. Are we moving towards that, or does it actually make a difference, or how do you make of that? Like, have you had any experiences abroad where you're like, oh, this is a structural change that can really be helpful?
Yeah, I guess for like track and field per se. I've been abroad. I've kind of seen what other training groups are doing overseas versus what we're doing at home. And I mean, I think they just, especially in the US, they have a very, very large focus on sports lah. And so I think like there's a lot of passion when it comes to it. And like the athletes are just there to just train hard and hopefully represent the country. Because in the US, it's so competitive.
Yeah.
Like, because so many of them, maybe 10 or 15 girls are hitting like the Olympic qualifying standard. So there's only 3 sports per country in the Olympics and World Championships. So like those 20 girls have to fight for a spot in the Olympics, whereas like they're running even faster times than me, but I'm there. You know what I mean? So it's just a whole different look on like, especially in the US for sports lah. And in Europe, like it's just such a strong culture. Like everybody loves it so much that like that's why you have all these circuits going on in like the entire summer period. Like every 3 days there's a competition happening in some part of Europe. Whereas here you don't really see that as much. Or like not just Singapore but in Asia in general. Because like they don't have that kind of same timetable, or maybe they're not fully knowledgeable about what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, so it's just very different.
I think Ruel mentioned that also, right? The culture of sports that are abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really different.
Yeah.
But for you, I mean, aside from yourself or your coach or what, who is the most nervous or happiest for you for your races? Is it your family or what?
Who's the most nervous? Yeah, I would say my family, my boyfriend, for sure. Yeah. Like they are the ones that really know. They know everything. Like they know like how it has been the past few years and like the preparation that goes into each race, the post event feelings and all that kind of thing. Like they're really there through it all. So especially my boyfriend lah, because he was an athlete before. So and he trained under my coach. So he knows like exactly what it is that I'm going through, like whenever I'm training and competing and stuff. So
even when
he probably feels the most lah.
The switch that you talked about that happened, you talked to him and you talked to your family.
Yeah, he's the one, like he and my family and my coach, they all helped me get to that place lah. I mean, it's always like that, right? Like the people around you constantly tell you the same thing, but you don't actually listen until like something in you finally clicks. Yeah. Also,
throughout the way your family has always been like, they've been pushing you to like make this like your full.
Yeah, honestly, they've been supporting me ever since I decided to join track lah. Like, even when like I was just finishing up school, they asked me like, do I want to do this full time? And I said, yeah, of course. But then they said like, if you want to, we can support you. Like, no problem. Like, you don't need to go and work. I'm like, cannot lah. You know, I can't make you do that for me. Like, that's crazy lah. But yeah, that's just how much they really support me.
But was there anything, because I can imagine, especially in the Singapore setting, I would imagine more families would be like, you sure you want to do this full time? Anything about like them that now you look back, you're like, okay, they are very special in that way. Like, what made them so open to supporting you full time? Was it they watched the race of you and they're like, wow, this girl's gonna make magic happen?
Well, I mean, they went through it with my sister, you know, because she was an athlete also. And I think, yeah, since then, I guess they realized like when their kids find something that they're passionate about. Because I have that sister and I have 2 other siblings lah. Yeah, and whenever we found something we're passionate about, they just said like, go for it. Yeah, and my mom and dad used to run like in school. They were never national athletes or anything, but they used to run. So I guess they can understand where that love comes from. Yeah, and like if we get a chance to make like the full use of it, then like go for it lah.
I see.
But there must be quite a do you look around and see that you're quite lucky in that way? Like it doesn't exist for a lot of people in Singapore.
Yeah. Like not a lot of people can say that they have this kind of situation. So I'm very, very thankful.
Wow. Do you have like track and field meets within your family? Like if your parents
No.
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 The yearly family meet.
Nothing like that. Yeah. But I mean, we all it's just something nice to have.
So you know, like in terms of like looking forward, not just a few weeks, the interesting thing about an athlete, like a professional athlete, is that there is a finite time that you are at your peak, right? And how do you think about that?
I used to think that I would stop like around now. Yeah, I think because just the general perception of sports lah, like here especially, like there's a certain age limit which is around now. But then I go overseas, I compete overseas, you see like people who are like in their 30s, 35 even, winning competitions, you know. So yeah, I think especially now after this year, I kind of see that I'm not done anytime soon. So I can go on for hopefully longer lah.
Because you also qualified for the Olympics next year, right?
Yes, I did.
For the 200 meters.
For 200 meters. Yeah.
Wow.
It is crazy.
And what is the qualifying mark for the 100 meters?
It is 11:07. And right now I'm at 11:20.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a big jump. 400 meters is a big jump.
Yeah. But like, is that part of your training before every competition? Like, okay, this is the mark that I want to meet, or like, how do you plan for a meet?
Yeah. So I mean, for the 200, that's something that my coach and I were working towards lah. Yeah. Like we were hoping. I mean, we could see like when I was training and the times I was doing in training, we knew that okay, I'm at a place where I can fight for a 22:57 or below. Yeah. So, going into the World Championships or going into just the whole Europe stint in general, we knew that okay, one of the races we can definitely aim to do this. Yeah. And so like before the 200 heats, I guess that's where our heads were really at. Like okay, like I feel good. So let's go for it lah. Yeah. And so yeah. It was on the dot. Okay. 22:57 on the dot. So I was just like, wow, like that was really insane. Like, yeah, because I mean we always have a race plan. Like we always discuss what the race plan is, what it is that I want to focus on at what point of the race. And for the 200 it's a little bit different. It's not like a one time boom. Like it's a bit longer, right? You have two 100-meter parts to deal with. So for the 200 it's very like it's a bit more technical, I guess. Like you have to think about how you negotiate the curve and how you come out of it and maintaining that form as you reach the end. Yeah. So the main thing we're focusing on was like, what was it? It was hammering, I think. Like we like to use the word hammer lah. Yeah. So like just really hammering all the way until the end.
So like all this basically where you are now, I mean, it sounds like it's a good place lah, right? In terms of you enjoying the competition, enjoying where you are. Was this something that when you started out you envisioned that this day would come lah, where you would be at peace with everything? I don't not say at peace, but like doing what you love at the same time, not worrying about the pressure and everything?
No, I never ever thought this time
really?
would come for me. Yeah. I guess I never knew what it felt like, I guess. Because before this, it was just always like, I need to maintain a certain level and show people that I'm still good enough, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's great.
I mean, even when Ruyong told us, okay, Shanti's down for coming on the podcast, I was like, you mean like 2 weeks before Asian Games, she's down to come on our podcast? Or maybe she figured that's part of her plan. I train, go on a podcast. This is all part of the training routine.
I mean, not part of my training routine, but I block off everything the week before. Yeah, so that's next week. So this week, that's why I'm doing all my engagements this week.
Have there been like a lot? Like, have you been inundated with
quite a bit? So I did have to reject some. Just try to because I still want to be able to train properly this week Yeah, without too much distractions or anything. So I have to plan the time properly
So do you ever think about, because like now compared to maybe 20 years ago as an athlete, now there's almost this other side of being a public figure where you have a brand on social media.
Yeah.
Do you face that pressure, or is it something that you think is inevitable regardless of what you do? Or are there some athletes who just don't even have an Instagram account?
Yeah, so there are some athletes that don't care about social media at all. But I mean, I like social media. So I understand that now it is very different from what it was last time, where you have to maintain that kind of standing on social media. So it is hard. I don't know how people do it. It's honestly very tricky you know, especially if brands come on board and want to work with you, and then you have to make time out to edit videos or take pictures or whatever it is. So yeah, it can get a bit overwhelming and difficult to manage. Yeah.
But you see there's a benefit also.
For sure. I mean, I guess, like I said before, I'm always happy that my story can kind of inspire people in their own way. So if that means that happens on my social media also, then yeah, that's always a nice thing to do.
Do you have any role models in athletics? Be it how they are juggling every aspect of being a public figure, or just for their talent and dedication?
Honestly, right, I don't really have a role model because I don't know. I feel like I have been to all these world championships and Olympics already, that I feel like they appreciate when people treat them as human beings. I always get that sense when I compete overseas we're all, especially if an athlete looks up to another athlete, I think they would want to feel hey, I'm just like you, yeah. And so whenever I'm overseas, I really just respect that we're all doing the same thing. And it's quite cool I can say that I'm in the same place as these people. I mean, obviously not achieving the same things as they are
Not yet.
I mean,
not yet. Yeah.
But yeah, I always have this sense we're all in the same journey, or on the same boat.
So there's a general sense of camaraderie amongst athletes, because I mean it's a very individual sport, right?
Yeah.
So going in, do you know all the other athletes you'll be competing with in the Asian Games?
Asian Games, yes. Yeah.
You'll have a WhatsApp group or something.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that. But yeah, because a lot of us have been competing together for a very long time already. So yeah, there's always like you said, a sense of camaraderie when it comes to these kind of competitions. Yeah, and even when I was in Europe because I did so many meets every few weekends, right? And it's always the same few girls, because everyone there is there to compete in the circuit. And so whatever meet that they can get into, then they'll just compete in. And sometimes we end up at the same places. So then at the end of the day, you're competing against each other. You're trying to get more points than each other. But it's still it's nice because you're all on the same journey together. You're all doing the same thing. So I mean,
because whenever at the end of the race, the other competitors hug each other and all, I always think how much of that is real? Is it real, or is it just for the camera? But it's real.
I feel like it's real. Yeah, I think it's just all of us know that we all put in so much hard work to be there, and just in a way happy for everyone.
Do you feel the same for Singapore athletes in other sports also, like when you go for these games and everything, and you see athletes in other sports. There's this sense of like we're all in this together, Majulah Singapura.
Yeah, for sure. Like
Really?
always, like if we get the chance, usually it's a bit hard to go to watch another sport.
Oh, okay.
Because we're usually there for a certain period of time and it's only during our, like when athletics is. Yeah. So, I mean, if we get a chance to go and see, then that's very fun lah. And if we see like them excel, it's great. It's just great to experience.
There was a video of you kind of like getting quite emotional when the anthem was playing, right?
Yeah.
I was crying the whole time.
Did you expect to get that emotional?
No, I didn't. Oh my god.
Did you go in like, I'll be cool.
Yeah, but oh my god, I don't know what happened, okay? Like I was just like, yeah, I don't even know. Like I was already tearing up before the prize presentation. Like when I was waiting, there's like a room lah, like a medal presentation room.
Yeah.
So I was just waiting there. Then I was just replaying my race. Wow, then I just keep crying. I was like, oh my god, what's happening?
But anything different about that race, that medal compared to your previous medals?
Well, I mean, yeah, of course, that was the Asian Champs 100 meters, right? Yeah, so like that was like the biggest thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and it was the way I won also, I guess. It was like, I started off at the back and then I really just, like I said before, like I stayed relaxed. I kept calm. And then I really just came into the lead at the end. Oh, in 100 meters. I was like, oh my god, I got so emotional.
I mean, that means it's not really even just about, Singapore won or what, but it's about how you ran the race.
Yeah.
And everything went according to plan.
Exactly. Yeah. So after the race, I was like, oh my god, like, okay, like I stuck to my race plan. My coach told me, okay, before the race, I mean, at the start, I have a rep that my reaction is not very good lah. Okay, so I'm always like one of the last few out of the blocks. They said, okay, never mind. You'll probably be the last out of the blocks, but it's okay. You just stay calm and like execute whatever it is that you've been doing. And then, don't worry about the rest. So that's exactly what I did. And so when I finished, I was like, oh my god, like I did it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it was crazy. That's why I was really very emotional for that one. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you have a rep for being slow
at the blocks.
Is that something that you are training? Like your coach just walks around with like a air gun, like Shanti!
24 hours a day, just pop in your room.
Actually, no, we do this thing where we're like scare each other. You know? And then he's like, and then sometimes when he does it and I don't react, and he's like, you're not reacting. Then I'm like, no, coach, like you didn't do it fast enough. Like you need to do it faster. Then he's like, oh, okay. But yeah, like we always do that.
But is that something that you can train, or beyond a certain point is like?
I think can train lah. Can train because it's a nervous system thing. It's like waking up the nervous system. Before like 100-meter race lah. Yeah, but I mean, if it doesn't happen on the day, it doesn't happen lah.
Yeah.
Then you have to prepare
Your
for
plan
it in advance lah. Yeah, just stick to the plan and see what happens.
So you know, over the course of this year, has there been a single moment where you felt like, I don't know, has someone come up to you, or have you seen a direct result of what you have achieved in like a regular Singaporean or a young child or anything? Has there been a moment like that? And I speak because I say like, compared to like watching NDP versus a video of you winning, right? I feel so much prouder being a Singaporean watching your video running. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I watch NDP, I'm like, but when you win, and then I'm like, wow, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But have there been people who you have seen, be it like a parent or a child, or what was the most meaningful moment for you?
I don't know. I feel like I've had a lot of those lah. A lot of people come and tell me like, wow, like I watched your race and I was just so incredibly proud of you. And then I think for people that wasn't sure of my journey before like these few races, I guess that's where they kind of like do their research and like find out everything that has happened in the past few years. And they're like, wow, like Shanti, I'm so proud of you, you know. And yeah, a lot of times it's like it's the kids that train at the same track as me and their parents lah, they come up to me and just like tell me these kind of things. And a lot of the teachers that like track coaches and teachers that have been around for very long lah, that they come and tell me, so like, yeah, we're just incredibly proud of you and all that you've accomplished like after all these years lah. So
Wow.
So when you go on the track to train, do people like kind of like empty out the lane for
No lah. No.
if I was the fastest man in Asia, I would totally just walk.
I mean, whether it happens, I don't know lah. Like I can't tell, but I don't know.
She doesn't go around ordering people to get off the track.
I don't like, hey, yo, get out.
Out of my way.
Yeah.
Sprint queen.
But if they do move out, I don't notice lah. Like I don't know. But yeah, you do have to maintain a certain level of track etiquette for sure. Because you never know what's gonna happen. Like there might be a sprinter coming from like don't know where, coming at like full speed, and you can't just be in the way. You know, if you're in the way, you're gonna fall. Like sorry, like I'm gonna crash into you. Yeah. So that's just something that like my coach and I kind of notice when we go overseas. Like some people don't have that kind of track etiquette. And like for example, you can't put like a set of hurdles in the middle of the track.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna use it, you know, because then just blocks off the entire lane. Like you can't use it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So what will the next like couple of, you mentioned that the week before it is just prep lah, right? And like generally what does that look like? Like just toning down your training or like
it's more so like I guess zoning in a little bit. So training sessions are the same. Okay, no. Like this week is a bit more intense versus next week and the days leading up to it. It's a bit more like fine tuning. So that basically means the intensity is a bit higher, but the volume is lesser. Yeah. So that's like how my next week and the days before will look like lah. Yeah. And then the rest of the time is really just being at home. Chilling
watching
out,
Modern Family.
Watching Modern Family.
Watching Modern
I mean,
Family.
the crazy thing is that this is one of the most spectacular runs that a Singapore athlete has had for, you know, like a span of months, right? And we are all watching it like unfold in front of us in real time. Watching there are people interviewing you, Lawrence Wong interviewing you, Tharman talking about you, and you're still going on to sprint at Asian Games and all that. So like if there's anyone that like, what's that one message that you are going around telling young people about, you know, fighting through their struggles and all? What's that message that you are trying to give to people during this very intense period everyone's watching you? Yeah,
there's always like, especially in the past 2 years, this is one thing that I always kind of go back to. That is basically like I have the power to determine what happens in my journey and no one else. Yeah, because I did struggle with like just listening to whatever people were saying lah. And then I realized, why am I caring about what you think about me? Like you don't even know what it's like to be me. So why am I listening to you? Yeah, so I feel like that resonates with a lot of people because they compare themselves with their peers or whatever it is lah. So it's important for them to realize that while that's normal and everyone goes through that, you have to remember that it's your journey lah. Like it's your story that you're writing. Yeah.
It's your race to run.
Yeah.
It's your race to run.
It's your race to run.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean like if people wanted to like follow exactly the Asian Games, is there anything to watch in the lead up to the race or like when is the date of your race or races?
So I compete. When do I start competing? I think I start on the 29th. And then that's the first round of the 100 meters. And then the following day, it's the semi-finals and the finals. And then the following day is the 200 heats and the semis. And then the following day is the 200 finals.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be on Rewatch. If I'm not wrong.
And you
similar
probably
to the
be
SEA Games.
Posting on social media also, like if people want to follow. Or that only comes after the race.
I don't know. See how I feel.
Is you posting like it's not like a manager or anything?
No, it's me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's all me. Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And if people wanted to find you, like, are you most active on like Instagram?
Instagram is where I'm most active.
Instagram.
Yeah.
So, no TikToks yet lah.
I mean, I watch TikTok, but I don't post anything. That's another way I wind down. I watch TikTok, but like it's like non-track related content. It's just like beauty, makeup, all these kind of things, and like packing videos. You know, like the
so you follow all those hacks, is it?
packing videos,
Like packing suitcase, like,
packing
packing, oh,
suitcase,
really?
packing cubes lah, and then like
But
organizing drawers, organizing fridge.
But that's kind of work
that's
related.
your work.
Right?
That's your work also, right? Like preparing for a race,
Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, yeah lah. It helps me with the I mean, it's not work, but it's helping me relax, right? During my non-work. Yeah, so that's my algorithm.
Packing videos. Packing videos.
Well, yeah.
Like cooking lah, a lot of cooking.
Okay.
Also.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Wow, but that's cool, man.
Yeah. But thank you for taking the time to come and speak to us and,
Thank you
and
for
share with
having
the
me.
audience.
Yeah.
But we always end with something that we can share with our audience, right? Something that they can experience themselves or what. It's called One Shiok Thing.
Yeah.
And Harish, you have your One Shiok Thing. We'll do ours first,
Okay.
then come to yours.
Yeah. You have yours? Let me pull mine up.
I have mine is a video that I watched of I think I talked about it as a One Shiok Thing before. It's called Stevie's Wrestling Analysis. It's like I don't know if you know pro wrestling, WWE and all that. There was one star called Bret Hart. Very well loved star from the 80s, 90s. And he had a very sad end to his wrestling career, where he was kicked in the temple by another wrestler that gave him concussion. And basically, since then, he's had a myriad of health problems from that post-concussion injury. So this is the first time I've seen a video of an ex-pro wrestler breaking down how that kick could have ended his career, why it was so bad and where there were warning signs throughout the match. Even though it's something very choreographed and all, there's still a lot of dangers involved in falling on the mat and all that. And there were certain points where he might already have been concussed earlier in the match, but because of his desire to finish the match for the audience and everything, he went to a point where he got kicked in the head in the temple, and that basically was like the end for him, in terms of his career. So yeah, it's just we watch a lot of whether it's pro wrestlers or athletes doing things on television, and we don't realize there's a lot that goes into the planning and taking care of themselves, that things can go wrong. Even for something as choreographed as pro wrestling. So yeah, it was the first time. I mean, I knew him when I was growing up watching it as a fan of pro wrestling, but to really watch it being dissected now into the techniques and what went wrong in the techniques of taking care of each other in the ring and all that, quite an eye opener. Yeah.
Did you watch wrestling?
No.
And that was Bret Hart, is it?
Bret Hart, yeah.
As in he himself was dissecting it?
No. It was another wrestler, who does this channel where he dissects all these basically screw-ups that happen in the ring.
I see.
Yeah. So I mean, not say shiok lah. It's not a shiok thing, to be happy about. But interesting.
Interesting. Cool. Mine is a podcast by Ali Abdaal. You know Ali Abdaal? He's a YouTuber. He used to be a doctor in training, and then he became a big productivity expert. Then he started a YouTube channel. So he has this podcast where one of his recent guests is Stephen Bartlett, who's like a early 30s British guy, like serial entrepreneur. And he runs the podcast Diary of a CEO.
Yes.
It's one of the most popular podcasts in the world. But what I liked about it is that here are two super successful people, but they were actually very real on the podcast. Like you would expect, on Instagram and social media, you see so many people just projecting they are the best. And what they were talking about was how they struggle with relationships, being so busy, how they manage that. And it just felt like, these are two very successful people, but they were just talking about shit that any entrepreneur can relate to. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And Ali Abdaal is someone that we also try to learn from, because he does a great job building a brand online. Yeah, so those are our Shiok things, Shanti.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it. I think I have two things.
Okay. Sorry, it's one Shiok thing.
But I'm going to say two. I'm going to break the rules.
She's going to break the record.
Okay.
Break the record.
Breaking records, okay?
Yeah.
So first is my sister just launched her newest children's book. So she's been doing a series of the different festivals that happen in Singapore. So she started with the Christmas one last year.
Okay.
She did a Chinese New Year one, a Hari Raya one, and then now a Deepavali one.
Oh, nice.
So it's like a whole series. And I think this is the last book, if I'm not wrong. So, I mean, she's always loved writing and she's loved putting it in a children's book format. So,
what's the name of the series?
What is the last one called? That's a very good question. Wait.
Or your sister's author name?
Her name is Valerie Pereira.
Valerie Pereira. Okay.
Yeah. And the book is like out on.
And I'll tell you the name of the first one. It's called Stars on Orchard Road.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it? Wait. Give me 1 minute.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure it's 100% accurate.
100%,
when we talk about
and at least then if there's a link that we
so
can
Stars on Orchard was the first one. And then the recent one is called Peacocks Around Little India. Yeah. So it's very nice.
And it's out already? People can...
I think it's on pre-order.
Pre-order,
now.
Okay. And there's a website that we can put in the show
it's on
okay.
published by Epigram Books.
Oh, nice.
And what age range was she writing for?
I would say 8 and below.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Children's book. And the second thing is so I've been kind of in contact. So I started this was in January. I was training with this girl called Zoe Hobbs in New Zealand. She's New Zealand's best sprinter. Yeah. And she recently made like New Zealand history by going under 11 seconds for the 100 meters. Yeah, which is like the thing to do in 100 meters. And recently she was just accepted into the Diamond League final.
Okay.
So Diamond League is basically the top league that you can get in athletics.
Okay.
Yeah. So how you qualify for the finals is like you need to keep participating in different diamond leagues across the year. And then you have to come in at a certain place at each of those diamond leagues to be able to get into the final. And that final is happening in Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, so she did really well. The previous one, it was in Brussels.
Yeah.
And so that got her a ticket into the Diamond League final.
Oh.
So, and it's like history again for New Zealand. And
it's happening soon?
It's happening next week.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So just very happy for her. And I mean, it's kind of nice because we were touring Europe together. I would see her at some meets. And yeah, it's just nice to see.
And what's her name again?
Zoe Hobbs.
Zoe Hobbs.
And the Diamond League can be watched on like YouTube or something?
Actually, I think Diamond League is on one of the StarHub channels, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is
but on YouTube, it's not. It can't be streamed in Singapore.
But there's always highlights that will be...
There's highlights, yeah.
Okay.
Highlights can be seen, but not like the live stream of the race.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah. Thanks so much, Shanti.
Thank you, guys.
Wishing you all the best.
Yeah, all
Thank
the
you so
best.
much.
Hope
Do
you
Singapore
kick ass.
proud.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And do Singapore proud, yeah.
Thanks.
Sweet.
I'll try my best.
Try your best, yeah.
Try your best. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for listening. And yeah, talk to you all soon.